About 26 minutes until the hour here on the Vic McCarty Show. Still to come, Kelly, my dental hygienist, will be in the studio talking about dental hygiene. It's Dental Health Month. Saw an interview this morning with Tommy James. I did not know he was born and recorded his first song in Niles, Michigan. He and the Shondells at that time were in high school. And then the record broke, I guess a couple of years later, big time in Pittsburgh, so he got the group back together in a different form because the other Shondells were off doing some other stuff, and then off they went. But the book he's written a book, and it's entitled The Mob, Me, and the Music. And it talks about how heavily involved the mob was in the music industry and in Roulette Records, where he first signed. So it's very interesting. Really nice guy. I saw an interview with him very early this morning. Really nice guy. But I did not know he was from Niles. And Michigan really has a huge music history. And along those lines, we welcome Duane Roy to the program. Good morning, Duane. How are you this morning?
Good, good.
You drove down from Canada yesterday.
Yep.
Where? You're in Wawa?
Wawa.
Where exactly is Wawa?
Well, we'll be about 2 hours north of Sault Ste. Marie.
Okay. And now you've written this book, Castle Stories, a rock and roll scrapbook. Castle Farm, Charlevoix, Michigan. When did this come out?
November.
And so you obviously have a long or involved history with Castle Farms, do you
Yes.
not? How many times do you think you will get? First, kind of, when does most of the book take place, basically?
Most of the book takes place, the majority of my stories take place from 86 to 90. But there's stories that go back to, I guess, 78 or so.
Now, you apparently you came down to Castle Farms quite a bit.
Yes.
How long was that trip for you?
4 hours.
4 hours. All right. What was the big draw? Well, why go all that way to see stuff at Castle Farms?
Well, it was the closest concert venue to Wawa. Like Sault Ste. Marie would have concerts, nothing, of the ilk of what Castle Farms would have, just Canadian bands and stuff. But Castle Farms had the big draw, the big name.
Now, you have a mugshot of yourself on Facebook.
Yes.
Explain yourself.
Mugshotmaker.com. Everyone seems to think I'm some criminal or something. It's just,
It's not. Oh, it's not a legit mugshot.
No, but seeing this lot.
Oh, so did I. I thought maybe you got into trouble there at Castle Farms because there may have been a little. Are you pulling my leg?
No, seriously, that's mugshotmaker.com.
Mugshotmaker.com, Mel. I'm doing it. That's awesome. All right. So, but Castle Farms was rough and tumble there,
Yes,
and it was quite the venue, not just for music, but for other shenanigans, or as I saw one of your chapters, other tomfoolery.
Yes.
But I think I'm going to go shenanigans, or worse than that. All right, so when was your first concert?
When?
Yeah. When
1986.
Who'd you see?
Whitesnake.
Whitesnake. Let's see. I saw Whitesnake in the about that time. Yeah, right. I saw them in Las Cruces. So Castle Farms was getting big acts.
Yes, 87. That's right. It was 87.
Now, it was an outdoor venue, of
Outdoor
course.
venue, yes.
All right. And how were the concerts there? I mean, from a quality standpoint.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. It was one of those places with a seated area and then another area of lawn, similar to kind of DTE has, whatever, a seated spot.
Yeah.
And a fence and then a lawn deal or whatever. So the seated area was always mayhem.
I'm reading the warning on your book. During the research and writing of this book, it became painfully obvious that people's power of recollection can sometimes be questionable. I wonder what forced that to happen. Keep in mind, many of these events happened 20 plus years ago, and I'm guessing there may have been some outside forces on these people at the time.
Occasionally.
Personally, my memory has become like the weather. Either it's really good or really bad and highly unpredictable. All right, so what you woke up one morning and said, I think I'll write a book. Explain how that happened.
What happened was, when you sit around with your buddies and you're drinking beer.
No, I don't know that, but go ahead. I hear some people do
Well,
that.
that happens.
Yeah, right.
In Canada, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Because, the winter's 11 months
Sure,
long.
yes.
So we sit around and it always goes back to the castle. The castle. Remember the time you were all drunk and, remember the time you lost your pants or what,
Well, Mel and I were just talking about that the other day. Hey, Mel, remember that time you lost your pants? Now, would you typically go down with the same group of buddies?
Yes.
Typically?
Typically, yeah.
All right, so how many of that group,
I'd say probably four.
that
Core.
questionable memory starting to
Core,
hit you, isn't it, right
oh,
now?
Core imbeciles, I would say.
Core imbeciles.
Yeah.
All right, of that four, and of all the trips you made, of that four, who comes across as the biggest dope?
The biggest bonehead you made?
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe you?
No.
No.
No, I was always the
I mean, come on, there's got to be somebody. All right, what was your role then? What?
What was my role?
Yeah.
I was the oldest then. So,
Okay, so you were the
I was
oldest.
usually the driver.
Oh.
I was usually the chauffeur.
All right.
And
Now-
my buddy Ray and Rob there was always one. It's always good to have one guy with you who always takes it to the next level, because then
Yes.
you know what I mean. You don't look like much of an idiot. Is it? Wow, you were drunk last night, Duane.
Yeah.
Remember what?
Yeah.
You
But
did last
look
night?
at that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's how I always hung around with those guys.
All right, now, not to incriminate yourself, but I think the statute of limitations is probably over. Were there road brews involved here?
Oh yes.
Oh, yes.
And the funny part was because Americans didn't understand Canadian ID for whatever reason, it was a little bit different or whatever. It goes into the book that we ended up with a little scratch-on stencil kit from the
Oh,
the
yeah.
Prince shop.
Oh,
or whatever, and
sure.
we put these stupid little numbers in our driver's license, and I'd be 17, but it would say I'm like 28.
Right, sure.
or something,
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
and the
that's
guy
classic,
would,
yeah.
And the people would, oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
When I was, say, 18, 19 years old, a little bit before you were, we had a place that we found where we could go get IDs made, a legitimate shop, and you could say, I want one that says I'm from Missouri. And they take your picture and they put in any birthday you want, and it would say Missouri. Yes, oh yeah. And people not knowing what a Missouri driver's license looks like, oh, okay, well, go right ahead, buy all the beer you want there. Of course, you look 14, but all right, whatever.
yeah,
All right, so what was the drinking age in Canada at the time?
it's still 19.
Still 19. Now, Mel, did you know that? I did not know that. I gotta go. That's
Well,
awesome.
In Ontario, it's 19.
All right.
It's actually 18 in other provinces.
Is it really?
Yeah.
What do the Canadians know that we don't? It's a long winter.
Yeah, winter.
Yeah, that's
sucks.
Okay,
Yeah.
so who was the bonehead of the group? Because this is a great
The bonehead of the group.
premise for a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the four guys,
Yeah.
much like The Hangover, Mel. So who would be? Have you seen The Hangover?
Yep.
Who would be Alan in that group?
Probably my buddy Ray, I would say.
Really?
Yes.
What was Ray's deal? What was his hookup?
He was the guy that took it to the next
To the next level.
Next level. Like, I could drink, if you drank 16 beer, he would have to drink, 19, just to say that,
Holy crap.
I bested you or whatever.
Now you would go down for what? How long would a road trip last?
Sometimes we go the night before.
Okay. And where would you stay?
We stayed at a campground in Charlevoix,
All right.
or we stayed at the hotel. Usually we try to stay at a campground, but then we stayed at this particular campground, but then, as it goes into in the book or whatever, another guy from Wawa drove his truck into a cabin.
Like into.
Yeah, he was drunk and driving around, like, in circles, and, yeah, and all that. Drove into a building.